So you want to determine if FSN is right for you? Here are some things to consider. You don't have to answer yes to everything I'm about to talk about, but the more you do, the more likely that FSN will be something you'll love. So let's begin with the easier stuff. Do you enjoy Farming Simulator? Since the Farm Sim Network's in-game experience uses Farming Simulator, this is key. Enough said. Now, if you do not want to spend a second in Farming Simulator, FSN still may have appeal to you on the meta side, but that is not what this video is mainly addressing. Do you want a multiplayer experience? If you just want to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, perhaps you should stay with single player. Having the chance to work with other players from around the world is a game changer for me in any sim. It just changes the in-game experience. For something like Farming Simulator, that is about community and work, this takes things to a new level. Okay, so now that the absurdly obvious questions are out of the way, let's dig deeper. Do you want persistence? FSN servers run all the time, in real time. When you sign out in the morning and return at night before heading to bed, the same amount of time will have passed on the servers. If you step away for a few days of activity will have occurred, and crops may be grown or dead, and animals may be literally starving for attention. Unlike single player, where you save the game and come back to it a month later and are on the same day and time when you left, FSN moves along, so you need to be able to give it some attention. Do you want more realism? FSN is an experience of Farming Simulator that makes you farm. Shortcuts you could not take if you were a real farmer are also not allowed in FSN servers. Now, this is a computer simulation, so there are a few exceptions. Just as pilots learning in a flight simulator do not need to physically travel to an actual airport, you can still go to the map and click on your equipment across the map and jump to it. Products you buy will still magically show up in the parking lot of the shop. And seeds are magic and can be changed to sprout different crops with the touch of a button. Those game mechanics still exist. But you will need to get out of your tractor and manually attach implements, including connecting the PTO and hoses. Your vehicles can have GPS, but they will not perform complex driving maneuvers as you may do with auto drive or course play. That spreader you use in single player that has a 50-meter working width and travels at 15 miles per hour, you will not find anything like that in FSN. The equipment available to farmers within FSN is limited to reasonable functionality. In fact, some items may be modded from their single-player counterparts to more realistically reflect capacities. In addition, just because you can attach something to something else in the game, if you wouldn't do it in the real world, you're not going to be able to do it in FSN. So we don't want to see you driving down the road with 10 implements attached to each other just because the game let you do it. Finally, the only helpers you can use are other people. No in-game helpers can be called to drive your combine for hours while you head off to work. You need to do the work, or you need to do the work to find someone to do the work for you, and then you'll need to pay them. Will you enjoy a consistent community of players playing by the same rules? With this item, along with the last two, FSN has me hooked with a unique Farming Simulator experience. Unlike all the downsides I read about multiplayer of servers being there one day and gone the next, or people having spent weeks working on their farm only to find out that someone else had come in and just run rampant over their hard work and they had to pick up the pieces, FSN provides a framework that has been thought out and applies across all servers, with one exception. There are not rules for small maps and big maps, or for one server but not another. All servers run 3-day seasons. All servers can handle the same crop types, including a lot not in the base game. This means you can play on any server in FSN and know how to behave and operate. The one exception to 100% similarity across servers is some servers have DLC equipment and some do not. But other than that, all equipment you can purchase is the same, regardless of map you are working on. All of this tends to attract people who want a deep, persistent, consistent, and ongoing experience in their farming simulator experience. And that, while hard to describe, is a huge part of the magic of FSN. Having like-minded people around to help you run your farm and give you a feeling of living in a community where you can call on a neighbor to help you out in a rough year in a video game. How often and how long are you looking to play? The beauty of FSN is it is your own personal sandbox in terms of what you want to put into it. If you cannot play every day, do not discount FSN as something you would still not love. Choices you make will determine how much time FSN will require of you, but you have full control over those choices. The only requirement FSN makes of you as a member is that you actively work your farm at least once every 3 in-game years, which translates to every 36 days, or about once a month. If you only play the minimum amount of time, your experience will be pretty basic, and your progress will be very slow. But if that is what you want, you can still participate in FSN. If you choose to get into animal husbandry, you will need to make sure your animals are fed, watered, and cleaned to avoid death, which amounts to about every other day. Crops not harvested before winter will die. Crops not fertilized, limed, or weeded when needed will yield less. How many acres you own and what equipment you buy to work those acres will directly correlate to time needed. I understand these things seem like common sense choices, but sometimes I have seen FSN players get caught up in the mentality of, I need to buy every parcel that comes up for auction on my server, and then lament that they do not have time to work their land. I've seen some farm managers get pretty ugly and demanding with their contractors. So I feel this question is a key one that needs to be front and center in your mind every single time you make a choice in FSN. Do not expand your farm larger than you can handle, and realize that finding, training, and retaining contractors is a job unto itself. This is a point of realism that I see many people not give enough thought to, and it sours their FSN experience. Just as in the real world, there's not an endless supply of workers, you may have difficulty finding enough contractors to work for you. Does the idea of a world outside the server intrigue you? This again is an important question, and one I feel a lot of players waiting in whitelist do not consider enough. This space is where FSN differentiates itself from anything currently out there. You do not only have the ability to sell your harvest in the game, but directly outside, or you can work it in a resource exchange. You can buy all equipment you need not only in-game, but at auction and from dealers. You can obtain crop insurance to protect you from in-game disasters like weather or unexpected injury, how I look at not being able to get on the servers for a period of time. Aside from that, there is an ever-expanding world of other peripheral items like transportation, logistics, mining, investments, banking, and more. You can find work or offer work through a contract system outside the game giants provided. Some of the most intriguing future items are linking to other sims that make sense to expand the world of possibility. For a hardcore simmer, FSN lets you get deep into aspects that enlarge the game universe if you'd like. Similar to the expansive literature and movies that sprout up around Star Wars or comic books, the developers of FSN are working to add in other aspects of the real world and let you interact with them if you want. If this is of interest to you, you will not find it anywhere else right now, and it tends to be what keeps people in the community. It really gives you the chance to live your FSN life in a way that ebbs and flows with your interests. If you suddenly find that you want to take a break from Farming Simulator, you can ask to have your farm manager status changed, but then you can still stay involved in the meta world around the in-game experience, and then 6 months later step back into in-game things, all the while never having left the community. Even though I thought about it a lot before I joined, it was only once I started dabbling with things that I discovered all the possibilities, and I'm sure there are things I still don't fully understand. Are you willing to help? So as we get further away from the obvious questions, we get here to the edge of the universe. And just like in the physical world, some of the most mind-blowing discoveries await you here at the edge. I find the thing that keeps me connected to FSN is less the in-game or the website play I am involved with, but instead the connections I have made with others. Humans are social creatures, and this community has taken that concept, maybe not intentionally, and created a platform that demands more of me than just passing attention to a diversion of my leisure time. I may not have something specific to do on my farm, and my truck, ships, and planes in Meta might not be arriving at their destinations and need my attention today. But I find that if I have some free time, I will check the Discord or the server and answer a question, take a contract, or just help a fellow farmer for free just to serve. The most surprising thing to me about FSN was this call to the better angels of our nature. In a world that is getting more and more chaotic and selfish, finding a gaming space that at its core is about helping others to feel more connected is fascinating. It is not typically something I'd ever expect in a video game. MMORPGs, like World of Warcraft, create that in-game to an extent, but around destruction and mayhem, just like first-person shooters, another very popular multiplayer experience. Hans and team have taken the seed provided to them by Giants, a farming simulator, a game built around nurturing new life, and expanded a web of interactions that gets better by working together in a positive way rather than by tearing down. You have the opportunity to work together with others in many different ways in FSN, and the meta world around it that feed that desire. And finally, we get to the last way you can help, and one you should strongly consider if FSN becomes something you enjoy, and that is financially. I understand a lot of players may be young and in school and not have a lot of money, but in the end, the servers that the websites operate on, that the game runs on, and the labor of the core people who work on expanding and perfecting this place are not free. Many hands make light work, and in a community of thousands, if everyone gave just $1 or €1 a month, it adds up to a good amount of support to sustain an idea in the world that drives positive behavior. Among all the choices we have every day to spend money on, I humbly suggest this concept is more worthy than a Starbucks latte or a candy bar or another flash-in-the-pan indulgence that fades the moment you experience it. A labor of love and a challenge, which I believe is how FSN began for Hans, cannot continue indefinitely on aspirations alone. So I'd implore everyone who is thinking of joining FSN to consider this last part intently. You may not be able to afford being a server sponsor or donate $100 a month, but this product cannot exist without being paid for. So as with anything that gives you joy, part of your responsibility should be to not just be a taker and take things for free, but to pay for what you are getting and be a giver and make the conscious choice to set aside a few of your pennies and send them over to FSN each week or month to keep the lights on. Because in the end, if the lights go out on FSN, we all go back to mediocre multiplayer experiences, designed mainly around games that encourage us to fight, rather than a game that encourages us to grow something new and wonderful and unselfish. I'd like to think a positive force in the world like FSN is worth diverting a few dollars to on a regular basis. I hope this gives you a much deeper understanding of what to consider as you contemplate if FSN makes sense for you. If you like this type of deeper dive on things, please subscribe to the channel and click the notification button to get notified when new content appears.